Hi, I'm Sophie and I work in the Archive Sector Funding team at the National Archives. I'd like to introduce this video delivered by consultant Leah Selinger, where she will guide you through how to apply to our funding streams at the National Archives.
Hello, I'm Leah, and welcome to this introduction to applying for a grant for your archive collection, with a focus on applying to the National Archives. In this video, we'll run through our approach to grant making, but our main aim is to help you make the best application you can for funding from the National Archives, and indeed any other grant makers you may approach for support. Whilst this video is about applying for funds from the National Archives, much of what we're going to cover will apply to any application writing you do to other grant makers as well. We will talk about how to approach and undertake the grant making process, how to get started, and what to think about as you write an application. All the way through, we're going to offer top tips to support you to do this. If you have any questions after watching this video, please do have a look at our website or contact the National Archives Grants and Funding team. The National Archives makes grants as part of our work to deliver Archives Unlocked, the government's vision for archives. You can find out more about Archives Unlocked on our website. The National Archives funding has 3 areas of focus which have been defined through consultation with archives across the UK. These are risk and resilience, access to the record, and skills, innovation and engagement. By risk and resilience, we mean investing to ensure that the archives are safeguarded in both the short and the long term. This might mean stepping in at short notice to save archives which are at immediate risk, or it could be making sure that archives and the people who run them have the skills, confidence and resources to exist well into the future. Our grant making in this area is about ensuring that the archives are developed to be more sustainable, secure and resilient. Our second area of focus, access to the record, relates to the scoping and cataloguing of archival collections, both physical and digital. We want archives to be both accessible and meaningful, with researchers and the wider public in mind. This might be about exploring the potential of new collections, or about increasing access to existing ones. And our third area of focus is around skills, innovation and engagement, and preparing the archive sector for the future, no matter what that might hold. People are particularly important in this focus area, as we know that investment in the workforce is essential to sustain and lead practice in a changing environment across the country. Across each of these focus areas, we're also mindful of 3 cross-cutting themes, which we see as important to all archival projects at the current time. Firstly, digital, and the way that we use this to build the skills, infrastructure and technology needed to preserve and reveal collections. Secondly, the environment, and how we as a sector seek to adapt to climate change and reduce our own environmental impact. And finally, diversity, equity and inclusion, ensuring we consider how we increase representation across our workforce, audiences and users in all the collections in which we collect, preserve and share. All the grant programmes align with one of the focus areas and have different criteria and requirements which can be found in detail on our website and in the other videos we have made to support you with your application. As these change from time to time, we're not going to introduce them all here, but instead we will share with you how to approach any of our grant opportunities and to give you some hints and tips on how to make your application as strong as possible. So, you've identified a need for your archive or archive collection and are thinking about applying for a grant from the National Archives. Where do you start? Well, your first point of call should be the National Archives website. Take a look at the advice and guidance web pages within the Archives sector section, which has lots of support and information for you to read before you start filling in an application form. The first thing you want to do is read the guidance notes and any other documents related to a particular grant opportunity, all of which you'll be able to find on the National Archives website. It's time to channel your inner Sherlock Holmes here and really get inside the mind of your funder. Ask yourself, what are their intentions? Why are they funding this area? What do they want to see as a result of their funding? Putting yourself in your funder's shoes is a great way of really understanding what they want, and only then can you start to see if your project, idea, or program is a great fit. You might want to consider whether the people who will read your application are experts in the field or generalists. At the National Archives, funds are always assessed by other working archivists, conservators, and heritage professionals, but this won't always be the case with other funders. What are they likely to look for, and what do they want to support? You might want to take the chance to talk to others, your colleagues, other archives, and of course the National Archives team as well. We'd much rather you ask questions now or checked your project or idea would be something we would support than waste your time or ours filling in an application form for something that doesn't fit the criteria. Now is also the time to make sure your organisation and work is eligible for our funding. We don't have too many restrictions, but each of our grants has clear eligibility criteria set out on the webpage for that grant programme. So make sure you read this before going any further. If you're not eligible, you're not going to get the grant, so there really is no point in applying. And remember, if you have any questions or aren't sure if you are eligible, please just ask us. We would be delighted to help. Finally, be honest with yourself. Are you applying because there's money available, or because this helps your organisation to achieve something in your own strategy or operational plan? We want to see that you've really thought about how a grant will help you and your organisation achieve your strategic goals. So the better it aligns with these, the more likely you are to succeed. Use your time as wisely as you can. Okay, so you found the right grant programme and you're clear that it's a good fit and you're eligible to apply. Great. But it's not the time to start writing just yet. There are a few things you'll want to consider before your fingers hit the keyboard. First off, take a look at the application form and the questions being asked. Do you understand them all? If there's anything that's not clear, do go back to the guidance provided or get in touch with the National Archives team to ask for support or clarity. The National Archives has developed assessment criteria, which we use to assess the portfolio of grants we offer. Not all of the assessment criteria apply to all funding opportunities, and the website clearly sets out which ones are relevant to which funding opportunity. We've also created a video to explain these in detail, so do take a look at that before you get going. These assessment criteria are what we will use to assess your application, so thinking about how you meet these will really help you when you get to the writing of your application. You might want to jot down some thoughts on how the work you do, or are planning to do, aligns with this criteria to help you when you get to the writing. What are the key points you want to get across in your application? Again, if you're not sure what you're being asked, feel free to get in touch and talk to us to help get the clarity you need. You might need to recruit some colleagues to help you with some elements of the application, whether that's examples of your work or perhaps your budget. Informing people early is a great idea, and it means you're ready to go when you get to that point of filling in the form. There's also a chance to ensure you're really clear on what you're going to tell your funder. Does your story stack up? Have you got any glaring holes? Who can help you to fill them? Now's also a great time to make sure you have any attachments you need to send with your application. Depending on the programme you're applying for, the National Archives might ask for a budget template to be completed, or letters of support, for example. One of the things we appreciate most is how you can bring an application to life for us. Our panels are almost always made up of practicing archive professionals, and pictures and supporting letters from internal or external stakeholders not only make this real for us, but show us the commitment to or support for a project from those you need to make it happen. Giving people plenty of notice for this is really helpful, and it makes it more likely you'll be able to include them with your application. We're there. It's time to start writing your application. Before you start writing anything, have a read through the whole application form so you can see all the questions. It's a good idea to write your answers in draft outside of the application form, in a Word document or Google document, for example. Downloadable versions of the applications are available on the National Archives website. An offline version means you can jot down some notes or ideas of what you want to say under each question and move the key points you want to make to the right question as you go. Something you answer in one place might actually fit better somewhere else. So feel free to start with some bullet points of what you want to cover before trying to write your notes up into full sentences. Do remember, though, that the National Archives would like you to submit your application through their online portal, so you won't be able to submit a Word document or Google document you're working on. This can just help you to prepare your answers carefully and get a sense of the whole application before completing the form on the online portal ready to submit it. It's also worth noting that the main questions in the National Archives application forms have word counts, so please do make sure you make a note of these and stick to them. It's really important that you answer the questions that are being asked. Please don't make up your own questions and answer those. If you're not sure what the question is asking, then it's fine to ask for help for advice. You can contact the National Archives grants team or the relevant sector development manager. If you're outside of England, you can also contact the relevant home nation partner, the Public Record Office Northern Ireland, National Records of Scotland, or the Welsh Record Office. As you go, please reference the criteria for the specific grant programme you're applying for and try and link your answers to those. If you make any statements, try and evidence them. So, for example, rather than just saying, "We are committed to high standards of archival practice," you might say, "We support staff to achieve high standards in their archival practice and are working towards archive service accreditation." You should basically assume no prior or specific knowledge of the person who's reading the application when it's submitted. Assume the reader doesn't know your project or even your archive, so spell things out as clearly as you can. Your assessor can't come back to you for ask for clarification, so the more detail and specifics you can provide, the better. It can really help if you place your application for your project, programme or activity in the context of your wider organisation. We want to understand how it fits into the work of your archive more broadly. Can you explain how the funding you'll receive will help you achieve your own strategic goals or contribute to the long-term or short-term changes, sometimes known as outcomes, you're trying to deliver? We know that for some organisations, your archive is a small part of what you do. By making it clear how your archive aligns with or supports other elements of your work, you'll be giving important context. For example, there's a huge difference between saying, "We want to put on a show," and "It's our strategic goal to engage new audiences from diverse local communities. This project will allow us to pilot and refine our approach." Spell things out for your reader as much as you can. Once you've completed a draft of the application form, don't forget to read it over and check for spelling mistakes, including the ones that the spell checker doesn't pick up, as they are words, just maybe not the right ones. Whilst you're there, double check any figures in your application or budget. Do they add up? Have you got the correct number of zeros? It's always worth getting someone else to read your application to. Ideally, someone who isn't overly familiar with your project or even your archive. So rope in your parent, friend, partner, neighbour, or maybe a colleague who's not involved in this particular work. Ask them to have a look over and see what they think. It would be even better if you provided them with the guidance and criteria to ask them to assess how well you meet those too. Take on their feedback and make sure you have one last read before you press send. We're nearly there, so just a couple of things to remind you of. Remember, the National Archives is a government funder, and as such, we have to consider value for money in all that we do. Collaboration, so applying with partners or through a consortia or network approach, often means that our funding can go further and reach more people. So whilst this isn't essential and isn't always appropriate, we would encourage you to think about how you're working with others to deliver your work and how you'll share the knowledge you create with the wider sector. So to recap what we've covered, talk to us if you're unsure about anything. If you want to discuss a project or opportunity with us before you apply, please do. Make sure you're clear how your work and project aligned with the funding opportunity available. Complete your application in clear, accessible language and make sure you answer all of the questions. And finally, get someone else to read your application before you submit it. Good luck with your funding application.